There's a brand new dual cab sitting in a smash repairer's yard outside Brisbane, and it's about to be written off over a dented front bumper. Not a bent chassis, not a cracked block, a bumper. Because behind that plastic, there's a radar unit, two parking sensors, and a camera. And by the time you've paid for the parts, the labour, and the recalibration, the repair bill is knocking on the door of what the insurer thinks the whole truck is worth. $60,000 vehicle. One low speed nudge in a car park, gone. Now, here's the part nobody tells you at the dealership. In Australia right now, a vehicle gets stolen roughly every 11 minutes. That's north of 50,000 a year. And the two most stolen vehicles in the country aren't Ferraris. They're the Toyota Hilux and the Ford Ranger. The exact utes half the country drives to work. And the features doing the heavy lifting for the thieves are the ones you paid extra for. I've spent a lot of years around these trucks, old and new, and I can tell you the insurance side has shifted under everybody's feet. Insurers aren't putting out press releases saying we won't cover this anymore. It's quieter than that. It's an exclusion buried on page 31. It's a claim knocked back because of something you never thought to mention. It's a premium that jumps 40% at renewal with no explanation. It's your pride and joy getting written off instead of repaired because the math stopped working. So today I'm going to walk you through 10 features on modern utes that are quietly turning into insurance problems in 2026. Some of them can get your claim refused outright, and near the end, I'll get to the one that should genuinely make you angry, because it's the one where you did absolutely nothing wrong. Stick around for that one. Before we get into the list, one thing you need to understand, because everything else hangs off it. An insurance policy is not a promise to pay. It's a contract with conditions. Under Australian law, the Insurance Contracts Act, you have a duty to tell your insurer anything a reasonable insurer would want to know. Every modification, every accessory, how the vehicle is actually used. And the vehicle itself has to be legal and roadworthy at the time of the claim. Break any of those conditions, even by accident, even without knowing, and the insurer doesn't have to prove you're a bad bloke. They just point at the clause. The old mechanics used to say an unroadworthy truck is an uninsured truck, and that's more true today than it's ever been. The difference now is that a modern ute can drift out of compliance without you touching a spanner. Right, let's count them down. Number 1, keyless entry and push-button start. This is the big one, so we'll take our time. That proximity fob in your pocket is constantly whispering to your ute, and thieves figured out years ago that you can eavesdrop on the whisper. Two blokes, one standing near your front door with a signal amplifier, picking up the fob sitting in your hallway, the other standing by the truck relaying it. The ute thinks the key just walked up. Doors open, engine starts, gone in under a minute. No broken glass, no alarm. The kit to do it costs less than $100, and it's not the only trick. The newer method, the one that emptied driveways across Victoria and Queensland through 2025, uses a reprogramming device plugged into the vehicle's electronics through the front end or the diagnostic port. It tells the truck a new key exists, kills the factory anti-theft, and can even shut down the satellite tracking. More than 150 Toyotas went that way in Victoria alone before police started making arrests. Insurers have noticed. Some are loading premiums hard on high-theft keyless models. Some are asking, in writing, whether you've got an aftermarket immobiliser or where you store your keys at night, and your answers become part of the contract. Toyota's now selling a $200 steering wheel lock for its own flagship models. Sit with that for a second. The fix for the $80,000 truck security system is a bar from the 1980s. And the quiet part is what happens at claim time. Theft claims on these models now come with questions. Where were the keys? Was there a second fob? Was any anti-theft device fitted that you told us about? If you mentioned an immobiliser on the application to get the premium down and it wasn't fitted or wasn't switched on, you've handed them the exit. The manufacturers are scrambling, hardware security updates on the newest models, factory-approved aftermarket immobilisers on the way, calls to ban the reprogramming devices outright. All good. None of it helps the truck in your driveway tonight. What helps tonight costs about $150 all up, a Faraday tin for the keys, a lock on the diagnostic port, and something big and ugly on the wheel. Because the blokes doing this are shopping, and they walk past the hard truck to take the easy one next door. Number 2, the windscreen. I know it doesn't sound like a feature, but on a modern ute, that glass is a mounting bracket for the forward camera that runs your lane keeping, your auto emergency braking, your adaptive cruise, which means a windscreen replacement is no longer a $100 glass swap and a cup of tea. The camera has to be recalibrated with targets and laser rigs, and that adds anywhere from $150 to $450 at an independent glass shop and $500 to $1,200 through a dealer. Insurers used to throw in excess-free windscreen cover like a free stubby holder. Now that option costs real money, has caps on it, or quietly excludes calibration. And here's the nasty edge. If the glass gets replaced without the recalibration and the camera's aiming a few degrees off, your emergency braking fires late, and now there's an argument about whether the vehicle was in a safe, compliant condition at the time of the crash. One stone off a truck on the highway, and you're in it. And the calibration itself isn't optional finesse, it's physics. That camera judges distance by angles, and the whole system is doing trigonometry off a lens position measured in millimeters. Move the lens 2 degrees, and the truck's idea of where the lane is and where the car in front is moves by meters at highway speed. There are two ways they set it right: a static calibration in the workshop with the truck parked square in front of printed target boards, and a dynamic one done on the road while the camera teaches itself off. Lane markings, and plenty of utes need both. So when the cut price mobile glass bloke says she'll be right, no calibration needed, mate, what he's actually saying is that your emergency braking is now a rumor. Get the calibration, get it on the invoice, and keep that invoice with the logbook. Because a paper trail proving the safety systems were set up right is worth more than the glass itself. Number 3, the undeclared lift. Australia loves a lifted ute, and I get it. But the law in most states draws a line at 50 millimeters of total lift, suspension, and tyres combined before you need engineering certification. Go past it without the paperwork, and your truck is legally unroadworthy. And an unroadworthy vehicle is the easiest claim an insurer will ever knock back. It doesn't even have to be the lift's fault. You can get rear-ended at a red light, and if the assessor measures the truck and finds it 65 over stock with no cert, the whole claim is in play. Same story with tyres more than a size or so up from factory. Insurers have refused claims over undisclosed suspension and wheel changes alone, no engine work involved. And here's the engineering reason the law cares, because it isn't bureaucrats being precious. Lift a ute and you raise its center of gravity, change its roll behavior, alter the geometry the electronic stability control was calibrated around, and change how the headlights aim and how the brakes bite under load. The factory spent millions tuning that stability computer to the standard ride height, and it has no idea you've jacked the truck up. That's why the certification process exists. An engineer signs off that the whole package still behaves. The second trap is the truck you bought secondhand, already lifted, looking factory to your eye. The previous owner's shortcuts become your problem the day you sign, because the insurer doesn't care who fitted it, only that it's there. So if you're buying a modified ute, ask for the engineering certificate the way you'd ask for the logbooks. And if there isn't one, price the certification into the deal or walk. The rule after that is dead simple, and almost nobody follows it. If it changes how the vehicle sits, steers, or stops, it goes on the policy in writing, not a phone call. Writing. Number 4, the accessories themselves, or more honestly, what they weigh. This is the silent one. Your dual cab left the factory with a payload that sounds generous. Call it 900 to 1,000 kilos. Now do the sums the way the truck does them. Steel bull bar and winch, call it 120 kilos. Canopy, another 100 plus. Drawers, fridge, second battery, recovery gear, a full water tank, long-range fuel, then a family of 4 and their luggage, or a tradie's full kit of tools. Then hang a 3.5-ton caravan off the back and put 300 kilos of ball weight straight onto the rear axle. Plenty of touring rigs and work utes in this country are over their legal gross vehicle mass every single day, and the owners have no idea. Overloaded means unroadworthy, and unroadworthy means the insurer can walk away from the claim, and with a big crash and a caravan involved, that can be a financial extinction event. There are legal engineering fixes, proper certified upgrades to the vehicle's rated mass, and the rules around those tightened again under the new design standards. So even that path takes more paperwork in 2026 than it used to. But the first step costs nothing. Drive over a weighbridge, loaded the way you actually travel, and find out the truth. Let me make it concrete, because the numbers are sneakier than they look. Take a popular dual cab with a tear around 2,200 kilos, and a gross vehicle mass of 3,200. Sounds like 1,000 kilos to play with. Except a full tank of diesel is about 70 kilos, and the moment you hitch a heavy van, the ball weight comes off your payload too. So on some setups, you've burned 300 or 400 kilos before a single human gets in. Add 2 adults, 2 kids, the bar, the canopy, the drawers, the fridge, and 80 litres of water at a kilo a litre. And I've watched blokes discover on a weighbridge that the family tourer they've driven for 3 years has been quietly illegal since the day they finished building it. Not by 10 kilos either, by 300. Number 5, light bars and driving lights. Harmless, right? Couple of 100 watts of Chinese LED and the bush lights up like a footy final. 3 problems. First, compliance. Every state has rules about where driving lights sit, how they're wired, how they switch. A light bar mounted where it obstructs the airbag sensors or wired into the high beam circuit with a bodgy relay is a defect. And a defect is a doorway for a knocked back claim, especially if the crash happens at night with the lights in play. Second, fire. I've seen the aftermath of cheap wiring pulling serious current through an undersized loom, and an electrical fire from a non-genuine accessory is exactly the kind of claim that gets forensically picked over. Third, the simplest one, theft and damage. If that $1,500 set of lights isn't itemized on your policy, plenty of insurers will pay out the truck and give you precisely nothing for the accessories. Declared, itemized, professionally wired. All 3, or you're carrying the risk yourself. Number 6, the giant touchscreen, the centerpiece of every new ute review. That lovely portrait tablet running your climate, your camera feeds, half the vehicle's settings. Here's what it looks like from the insurance side. It's a sealed, dealer-only part with a 4-figure price tag. It can't be repaired, only replaced and coded to the vehicle, and it's wired into everything. So water damage or an electrical fault that would once have cost you a fuse now costs a module. That cost lands somewhere, and where it lands is your premium and the write-off calculation. Every sealed $1,000 box bolted into the cabin shifts the maths away from repairing your truck and towards scrapping it. The old ute had a radio you could swap in a car park with a flat screwdriver. Nobody wrote off a Hilux because the cassette deck died. And there's a second-hand sting in this one too. As these trucks age out of warranty, a dead screen stops being the manufacturer's problem and becomes yours, and because the screen is the gatekeeper for the reversing camera, and a working reversing camera is a compliance item on the newer stuff, a dead screen can technically put a roadworthy certificate in question. So a 10-year-old ute with a $2,500 dead tablet in the dash becomes a truck nobody wants to fix and nobody can properly sell. Watch what that does to resale values on the tech-heavy variants over the next few years. The base model with the small screen and the buttons, the one the salesman steered you away from, is quietly becoming the smart buy. Number 7, the sensor-stuffed bumper. This is the mechanism behind that truck in the yard I told you about at the start, so let me give you the why. A modern ute's front bar carries radar for the cruise and braking, ultrasonic sensors for parking, sometimes a camera for the 360 view, plus the heated folding indicator-equipped mirrors hanging off each door like Christmas ornaments. 20 years ago, a car park nudge meant a second-hand bumper and a rattle can, $200 and your dignity. Today, that same nudge is a new bar, new radar, new brackets, and a calibration session on a level floor with target boards. And the bill runs 4, 5, 8 grand before anyone's touched actual metal. Multiply that across every minor crash in the country, and you understand why premiums on new utes have gone vertical and why insurers increasingly total vehicles that are barely damaged. They're not being lazy. The repair genuinely costs more than the truck is worth to them. You're paying for that arithmetic every renewal, and it explains something that confuses a lot of owners, which is why the premium on a brand new ute with every safety system under the sun can cost more than the premium on the 10-year-old one it replaced. You'd think a truck that breaks for you would be cheaper to insure. Sometimes it is, slightly on the crash frequency side. But every crash it doesn't prevent now costs 3 times as much to fix, and the frequency saving drowns in the severity increase. The safety tech is real, and it does save lives. I'm not knocking that for a second. A truck that stops itself before it hits a kid is worth every sensor. Just understand that you're paying for those sensors 3 times. Once at the dealership, once at every repair, and once a year at renewal, forever. Number 8, the connected truck. Your new ute phone's home, telematics, companion app, over-the-air updates, location history, driving data. Some of that is genuinely handy, but understand what it means when things go wrong. That data can be pulled, and in a disputed claim, it will be. How fast you were going, where the truck was at 2 in the morning, whether it was being driven like it was stolen before it was reported stolen. I'm not telling you to fear it. Honest drivers mostly have nothing to lose there. But there's a second edge. The same connectivity is an attack surface. The theft rings we talked about at number 1 can disable factory tracking as part of the job, which means the tracking you're partly paying for, and that may be earning you a premium discount, is switched off by the same laptop that steals the truck. Insurers know this, which is why some now specify hardware immobilisers and physical port locks, rather than trusting the built-in cleverness. The whisper from the assessors is simple. The electronic mode is dry, bring back the drawbridge. Number 9, the canopy full of tools. If you're a tradie, this is the one to hear. Your comprehensive policy covers the vehicle. Read the fine print on contents, and you'll find the tools in the back are barely covered at all, often capped at a few $100 to $1,000, sometimes excluded overnight entirely. Meanwhile, there's 15 or 20 grand of gear in that canopy, and thieves know it, which is exactly why work utes get hit on driveways at 4 in the morning. When it happens, the truck claim goes through, and the tools, the actual means of earning your living, come back a fraction covered or not covered at all. The fix is boring and it works. Separate tool insurance or a properly documented contents extension with photos, serial numbers, and receipts kept somewhere that isn't in the canopy. 10 minutes of paperwork against a month of lost work. And while we're at it, the canopy and drawers themselves are accessories. Weigh them, declare them, itemize them. You're seeing the pattern by now. One more wrinkle on the tools, because it catches even the careful blokes. A lot of policies that do cover tools have a condition buried in them about where the vehicle was parked and whether the theft involved forced entry, which matters because the relay and reprogramming thefts we talked about at number 1 don't force anything. The truck just unlocks. So you can end up in the surreal position of arguing with an assessor about whether an electronically stolen ute was properly secured, when the honest answer is that you locked it exactly the way the manufacturer designed and the design was the problem. That argument goes better with evidence. A camera on the driveway, a receipt for the immobiliser, the steering lock in the footage. Boring, cheap, and it turns a fight into a formality. Number 10. And this is the quiet trap that catches more honest people than any of the others. How you use the truck. Utes live a double life in this country, work truck Monday to Friday, family tourer on the weekend, and the insurance policy only knows the life you told it about. Insure it for private use and then run it daily to job sites with the ABN on the door, carry paying freight, do a bit of delivery work on the side, and you've misdescribed the risk. Insurers have refused claims on exactly this basis, not because of what got hit, but because of what the truck was doing when it got hit. Same trap in reverse, a business policy that doesn't know about the caravan and the annual Cape trip. And the definitions are slipperier than you'd hope. Commuting to a fixed workplace usually counts as private use. Driving between job sites usually doesn't. Carrying your own tools is one thing. Carrying goods for reward is another animal entirely. And the app-based side hustles, the deliveries, the odd paid load for a mate's business, sit in exactly the grey zone where claims go to die. The test the insurer applies isn't what you meant. It's what the truck was doing. So describe the messy truth. Work in private, the sites, the van, the weekend trips, all of it. It costs a little more to describe your actual life. It costs everything to describe a fictional one. Now, here's the part that actually matters, because you might be sitting there thinking, this is all one big stitch up, and it's worth being straight about what's really going on. There's no bloke in a tower deciding to get you. What there is a flow of money, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The manufacturer earns more selling you a truck full of sealed electronics than a truck full of simple steel, because the sealed stuff carries margin and it drags you back to the dealer for everything. The dealer earns more on a calibration than a wheel alignment. The parts business earns more when a bumper is a computer. And the insurer, to be fair to them, is mostly downstream of all that, paying repair bills that have doubled and tripled, and doing what insurers do when the maths turns against them. They narrow the cover, raise the excess, load the premium, and lean on every disclosure clause in the contract. Because there's no money in paying claims, and a great deal of money in finding reasons not to. Nobody in that chain sat in a room and planned your bad day. But notice who carries the risk at the end of it. Not the manufacturer who made the truck stealable with a $100 gadget. Not the dealer who sold you the tech pack. You. The whole system quietly assumes you've read 30 pages of product disclosure, weighed your truck, certified your springs, itemized your lights, and declared your Tuesday sight runs. And when you haven't, because no normal human has, the gap becomes your problem. That's not a conspiracy, it's just commercial gravity. But you're allowed to be annoyed about it, and you're smarter for seeing it plainly. And underneath all of it, there's something worth saying about what we've traded. An old ute was an honest machine. You could look at it and know it. You could fix it in the shed, secure it with a chain, insure it for buttons, and it told you no lies. The new one is a better vehicle by almost every measure, safer, faster, more comfortable, and yet it's become a thing you're not really allowed to know. Sealed boxes, dealer codes, software you don't own, risks you can't see until an assessor points at a clause. And when you can't know a machine, you can't defend yourself around it. You can only trust and pay. I don't think the answer is going backwards. But I think the blokes who built the old stuff understood something we're forgetting. That a machine you can understand is a machine that can't ambush you. Understanding is the cheapest insurance ever sold, and it's the one product nobody's marketing to you. So here's what I want you to do, and none of it needs a workshop. First tonight, put your keys in a Faraday pouch or a metal tin away from the front door, both sets. $10 kills the relay attack dead. Second, if you drive a high theft model, and if it's a Hilux, a Ranger, or a big cruiser you do, price an aftermarket PIN code immobiliser, call it 500 to 1,000 fitted, and a diagnostic port lock. And yes, an ugly steering lock, because ugly is the point. Third, this week, drive your truck over a public weighbridge, loaded the way you actually use it, $20 or free, and compare the number to the mass sticker in the door jamb. Fourth, pull out your policy, the actual document, and read 3 things: the modifications you've declared, the accessories you've itemized, and the use you've described, and fix every gap in writing, email, not phone. Fifth, if you carry tools, get them covered properly and photograph everything with serials. Sixth, next time glass or a bumper gets touched, make sure calibration is on the invoice and in the claim, and keep the paperwork. Total cost of all that, maybe a weekend and a few $100s. Against it, the average knocked back claim on a modern dual cab, which can be 40, 60, 80 grand, and a caravan. And here's the picture I want to leave you with. A year from now, some poor bloke 2 streets over is on the phone at 7 in the morning, discovering that his stolen Ranger isn't covered the way he assumed, or that his crash claim is hung up on a lift kit he bought with the truck and never knew wasn't certified. And you're standing in the driveway with a truck that starts, papers that are watertight, and the quiet, specific satisfaction of a man who read the fine print before the fine print read him. That's the whole game, not luck. Knowing. So tell me in the comments, have you or anyone you know ever had a claim knocked back on a ute, and what was the reason they gave? I want the real stories, the mods, the weighbridge surprises, what state you're in, what your insurer asked you to declare, and what the old fellas taught you about covering your own backside. I read every single one of these, and honestly, those comments are half the reason I keep making these videos, because the stories you lot tell me end up saving the next bloke. If this was useful, get subscribed, because next time we're going somewhere the brochures really don't want to go. We're looking at the engines in today's best-selling utes that the mechanics themselves quietly refuse to buy, and there's one very popular diesel on that list whose problem starts before the truck has done 40,000 Ks. And once you hear what it is, you'll understand exactly why the trade-in yards are full of them. Until then, keep your keys in a tin, keep your weight legal, and keep your paperwork boring. Because boring paperwork is what gets paid. I'll see you in the next one.